Hello and welcome to a brand new series from 6Gamers, Lore of the Storm, bringing you the lore behind your favourite characters in Heroes of the Storm. Since the Eternal Conflict has been released, we'll be looking at the title, the map and heroes coming with this content, starting with the Butcher. But before we learn about this malformed demon, let's take a brief look at the Eternal Conflict, the title of all the new content coming to HOTS. The Diablo universe was said to have started as a single pearl, devoid of light, dark, heat and air. Within that pearl, a mighty crystalline being called Anu slept. He was the sum of all things good and all things evil. Anu made the decision to rid himself of his evil, casting away his hate, his pride and so on. With no place to go, these malevolent parts of Anu's character did not just vanish, they manifested into a deformed beast that would come to be called Tutamut, the seven-headed dragon. Anu and the dragon fought for millennia, but were an equal match. Finally, both beings' energies nearly spent, they delivered their final blows. Both Anu and the dragon were destroyed, and the pearl exploded to create much of the Diablo universe. At the centre of creation, the realm of Pandemonium was born, the scar of the universe's traumatic birth. At Pandemonium's centre lay the heart of creation, the Eye of Anu, a massive jewel unlike any other. It would become known as the World Stone, its power unknown, possibly limitless. Anu's spine hurtled through space, and as it slowed and cooled, the realm of the high heavens formed around it. In this realm, the angels were born, beings that embodied the virtuous aspects of the great Anu. Tutamut's body sunk to the lower reaches of reality. From his putrid, rotting flesh, the realm of the burning hells was spawned. From the dragon's severed heads, the lords of the burning hells were born, the prime and lesser evils, such as Diablo and Azmodan. In the burning hells, demons came to life. With these two opposing realms created, the Eternal Conflict was born, and the Battlefield of Eternity map in HOTS has its design heavily inspired by these two locations. Both angels and demons sought the boundless power of the World Stone, beginning a war that has raged ever since. Much of the war was fought on Pandemonium, the World Stone changing hands on multiple occasions until several angels and demons became tired of the conflict. They stole away the World Stone, created the world of Sanctuary using its power, and interbred. These unions gave birth to mankind. When Sanctuary was discovered, mankind also became embroiled in the war between angels and demons. The Butcher made his first appearance in the Diablo franchise during the first game. Diablo had been bound to a soulstone by the angel Tyrael and the order of mages called the Horodrim. The soulstone was buried deep under the town of Tristram. However, it corrupted all that surrounded it, and Tristram was plunged into chaos, allowing Diablo to return in his physical form. To defeat Diablo, heroes ventured into the depths of the Tristram Cathedral. The Butcher was one of the first major demons encountered by the heroes. Before the town knew of the great demonic threat lurking beneath them, the treacherous Archbishop Lazarus led many of them into the catacombs of the cathedral under the pretense of finding the lost son of King Leoric, Albrecht. A trap was sprung and hordes of demons descended upon the townsfolk, the terrifying Butcher among them. The demon swung his cleaver as if it were a battle axe and cut down any that dared resist him. Some townsfolk were able to escape Lazarus' trap and made their way back to the surface. Those that had been lucky enough to only be wounded by the Butcher bore injuries that festered with disease. The disease was so potent that the town's healers found the wounds almost impossible to treat. King Leoric's eldest son Aidan returned from an unsuccessful war and set about doing his best to rid his kingdom of the demonic influence. When the prince came across the butcher's lair, it was clear that others had tried to venture into the catacombs in search of treasure. Some were unfortunate enough to stumble across the butcher. These previous adventurers had been swarmed by imp-like demons before the butcher lumbered in to finish them off, one barely escaping and having to have his arm amputated to save his life from the butcher's disease. Aidan and company were met with a horrific sight, a chamber stained with blood and strewn with the mutilated corpses of the adventurers. The butcher had taken sick pleasure in hacking them to pieces and dissecting them beyond recognition. Some had clearly only just been killed, as Aidan and his companions had been able to hear blood-curdling screams emanating from the butcher's chamber as they approached, and a small river of fresh blood flowed from the chamber door. As Aidan entered the chamber, the butcher turned to him, eyes filled with greedy delight at the promise of fresh meat. Despite a relentless attack, the butcher swinging his giant cleaver at speeds no mortal could, Aidan was able to dispatch the foul demon. It would later be discovered in Diablo 3 that the Butcher of Tristram was not an individual demon. There were several of these grotesque horrors within the burning hells. This demon type used to be solely under the command of Diablo, perhaps being the Lord of Hell that engineered their design, but they would later go on to serve other prime and lesser evils. The Butcher of Tristram was in the service of Andariel, one of the 4 lesser evils. The Butcher demons are in fact amalgamations of several different demons stitched together and reanimated through foul magics. This meant this single demon encompassed the strengths of several. In Diablo 3, the Butcher ended Act 1 of the storyline, and it is the design for this Butcher that makes it into Heroes of the Storm. A hero had discovered a stranger that had fallen from the sky and brought this man to Deckard Cain, the last of the Horodrim. This man, who had forgotten who he was later captured by Magda, leader of a coven dedicated to serving the lesser evil Belial, the Lord of Lies. As the adventurer tailed Magda to rescue the man, they entered the fallen King Leoric's manor. Beneath the king's manor was his extensive torture chamber, filled with spikes, blades, and fire. At the very depths of the torture chamber, the hero found Magda. To prevent the hero from following her, Magda released the Butcher upon them. While the previous Butcher was similar in height to a man, this one towered over the hero. It was equipped with a cleaver-like battle axe, almost as large as the demon itself, a meat hook attached to a chain, which it used to hook its victims and bring them in closer to rip them apart, and several chains with razor-sharp spikes attached to skewer its enemies. The 2 butchers did share a couple of things in common though: their love for inflicting pain and fresh meat. The butcher eagerly accepted the task of killing the hero. It hurled its weaponry round as if it weighed nothing, charged through the chamber, and the floor itself became deadly, flames erupting beneath the adventurer's feet. Unbelievably, the adventurer survived and was able to deal with the crazed demon single-handedly. After the butcher was defeated and dropped sweet loot, the adventurer found the mystery man being tortured by members of the coven, Magda long gone. The hero slaughtered the coven members and freed the man. They gave him his sword that Cain had reassembled, and in a brilliant flash of light, the man gained a beautiful golden set of armour and his memories returned. He was the Archangel Tyrael in mortal form. So, there you have it, a little bit of lore behind the eternal conflict and the story of the Butcher. If you've liked this episode, please like, subscribe and share it around so that others can find out the awesome storylines behind their favourite heroes. If you've enjoyed the art used, I've credited as many of the artists as I could find in the description below. Next time, we will learn the tragic tale of the Skeleton King Leoric. Until next time guys, I hope to battle you one day in the Nexus.